Part 8. 9 Generations of Villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 71. The sky was vast and the moonlight was bleak. A stream of light came from afar, drew an arc in the air, and finally fell into the dense forest below. The dense forest was quiet, without any insect chirping. Sitting on the ground, with his back against a strange tree, Lin Feng gasped. The moment he escaped from Ling Shanfang, the purple-robed old man just glanced at him, and he felt as if his neck was grabbed by a big hand. Not only did he feel a strong sense of suffocation, but his breath was disordered, and his blood was stagnant. Bang, bang. Thinking of the situation just now, Lin Feng's heartbeat was still violent. He believed that he had experienced many dangerous situations, but he had never been so powerless. In front of the purple-robed old man, he was like a skinny ant. Even if he struggled desperately, he could not escape the fate of being trampled to death. Fortunately, the purple-robed old man finally withdrew his sight, and he was able to escape. "Did the purple-robed old man chase us?" Lin Feng asked hurriedly. "I don't know," the old man Tianji replied weakly. "Why don't you know? This time, I first infused my soul power into you, and then I controlled your body to instantly escape 100 miles. The combination of the two has basically exhausted my soul power, which is not enough to detect the existence of the supernatural realm cultivator." "What?" Lin Feng was shocked and jumped up, and his heart, which had just settled down, was immediately suspended again. "That's too dangerous, we have to run farther." After saying that, he was ready to run away. But he had just taken a step. "Why are you panicking?" the old man Tianji shouted. "You are still alive now, which proves that the purple-robed old man didn't chase us. Otherwise, with his strength, we would have died before we escaped from Ling Shanfang. You are not panicking? If you are not panicking, why don't you run so fast just now? It was you who controlled this body just now?" "My legs are still shaking now," Lin Feng retorted. The old man Tianji was speechless. It is undeniable that the situation just now really scared him. Although he also knew that the Son of Destiny was blessed by heaven and earth, and it was not so easy to die under normal circumstances. But no one would be stupid enough to really leave his life to God. Moreover, the situation just now could no longer be described as normal, but outrageous. It was outrageous. Let's not talk about Zhang Chen's own cultivation and moves, just one thing. How could a villain use a trump card right at the beginning, and also bring out the top characters in the central region? This is very unreasonable. What made Tianji old man even more puzzled was, even he thought that this time he was doomed, but Zhang Chen actually let Lin Feng go again. Zhang Chen is just like the villains that Lin Feng had met before, stupid and arrogant, right? But he didn't play by the rules at all, and instantly forced Lin Feng into a desperate situation. It's different, right? But he let the tiger go back to the mountain. I don't understand, I really don't understand. At this moment, even the old man Tianji, who claimed to be calculating the world and making decisions on his own, seemed to be covered by fog and could not see anything clearly. "Ha ha! I am not dead yet, I am indeed the Son of Destiny." Lin Feng sat down again and laughed loudly. His laughter was a little stiff, and there was obvious trembling, and he was still frightened. "If you rely on this, you will die sooner or later." The old man Tianji immediately poured cold water on him. "The favor of luck is limited. Although you are the Son of Destiny, every time you rely on luck to save your life, the favor of luck will be reduced by 1 point. When the day is exhausted, you will no longer be the Son of Destiny, but a stepping stone for others." Hearing this, Lin Feng rarely became serious. "Although I have heard this so many times that my ears are calloused, don't worry, I won't be stupid enough to rely entirely on destiny." "Yet." The old man Tianji nodded with satisfaction and asked Lin Feng what his next plan was. "Of course, I will go to Juyan sect, Lin Feng replied in seconds. What? Old man Tianji was shocked. Have you been infected by the madness of that girl? There is something wrong with the Juyan sect. Not only is there a girl who likes to bury people alive, but there is also a senior brother who doesn't play by the rules. Tisk tisk, you don't understand this, right? Lin Feng smiled confidently and said, the Zhang family is too powerful. If I go to other places, I will be more likely to be targeted by Zhang Chen. Only if I become a disciple of the Juyan sect, I will no longer face the Zhang family, but Zhang Chen alone. Old man Tianji was silent, thinking that there was some truth. But even if it's just Zhang Chen, you can't beat him. This time I only have a trace of soul power left, I can only barely maintain my sanity. In a short period of time, I can no longer help you in a critical situation. He was still a little worried. Don't I still have a beautiful master and a senior sister? Lin Feng disagreed. Zhang Chen is notorious, not only will they help me, the entire Juyan sect will stand on my side. That's right, old man Tianji agreed. Originally, he was not such a cautious person, but since he came to this central region, things have been getting more and more wrong. According to common sense, the son of destiny will also encounter crises, but he should not almost die twice in a row. And the people who appeared were all invincible. In addition, with the ever-changing trace of the heavenly secret, he had to act cautiously. Then go as soon as possible, but I still say that women are the most poisonous. Don't always think about the beautiful master and senior sister. Qingning girl is a lesson, the old man Tianji warned. Qingning is just an accident, didn't you say she was crazy? Lin Feng still didn't care, grinning, it's just a beautiful woman who is crazy, this is still under my control. If I cure her madness, maybe I can. At this point, he laughed. Hee. Humph, you will die at the hands of a woman sooner or later, old man Tianji snorted coldly. Too lazy to argue with an old man, after resting for a while, Lin Feng planned to hurry on his way in the night. At this moment, he couldn't hold back and wanted to see the master and senior sister he had never met before as soon as possible. He also decided that after becoming a disciple, he must find the beautiful master to report Zhang Chen and get some ground back first. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but speed up his pace. But as he walked, hu-huo, hu-huo, a sound similar to the friction of metal objects appeared. The sound wandered in the dense forest like death, one after another. It was not easy to stop. Hey! A sigh full of resentment sounded again, and it was a male voice. The horror scene made Lin Feng's heart jump. He wanted to take a detour, but wondered if it was an opportunity, so he picked up the black knife with a broken tip and tiptoed towards the direction of the sound. Soon, a vacant space came into view. Under the moonlight, a savage with a naked upper body and messy black hair like a chicken coop was facing away from him. The savage looked up at the moon, and his back trembled slightly. Suddenly, he cried out, "Wow! Oh, senior brother! You died so tragically." Hearing this, Lin Feng's scalp instantly went numb. In the middle of the night, there was actually a savage crying in this place where no one was going to die. It was scary, okay. That was a dream. The savage spoke again. So it was a nightmare? Lin Feng breathed a sigh of relief, secretly cursing that it was all Zhang Chen's fault, because he was scared and became timid. Who knew it wasn't? The savage said again. Lin Feng had a question mark on his face. So is it true or not? I thought you were alive, but you died again. I thought you were dead, but you are alive again. The savage raised his head and continued to chatter. Are you telling a ghost story? Lin Feng cursed in his heart. Who would hide in this dense forest in the middle of the night to sharpen a knife and then tell a ghost story to the moon? He was sure in an instant. The man in front of him was not only a savage, but also a madman. Lin Feng didn't want to deal with a madman, because the madman buried him alive last time, not to mention that he was a male madman. He held his breath and turned around to leave quietly. "Lin Feng, where are you? I've been waiting for you for a long time," the savage behind him said again. These words instantly exploded in Lin Feng's mind. Too shocked, he instinctively activated his vitality to be on guard, and then turned around abruptly. And at this moment, his presence was noticed by the savage. The latter stood up suddenly and turned around. The two looked at each other. Lin Feng finally saw the appearance of the savage. Although his facial features were elegant, he was unkempt. Although he was wearing Confucian pants, he held two cold and shining machetes in his hands, and his expression seemed to be neither smiling nor crying. The savage also saw Lin Feng's appearance. In an instant, a monstrous murderous intent appeared in his body. Under the influence of this murderous intent, his eyes were bloodshot, his whole body trembled, and his vitality became extremely violent, like countless sharp blades, smashing all the objects within a few feet. "Lin Feng, my dear junior brother, come to the second senior brother quickly." The savage smiled grimly, freed up a hand, and waved. "Gu." Seeing this, Lin Feng swallowed hard, and a big word appeared in his mind. Danger. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 72. The savage in front of him called himself junior brother, and also called himself second senior brother. This instantly reminded Lin Feng of a name. Lin Mubai. But he felt it was impossible. After all, Qing Ning said that Lin Mubai was gentle and elegant, and abandoned his innate Taoist bones and wanted to prove his emperorship with literature. This was also confirmed by other cultivators. And this savage and madman in front of him had nothing to do with these things. Go. This madman is in the Earth Yuan realm. His cultivation is higher than Zhang Chen, the old man Tianji shouted. Why didn't you say this earlier? Lin Feng couldn't believe it. How could I know you were so unlucky? I can't just tell you to run when you meet someone with a stronger cultivation than you. Didn't you see it just now? This is a madman. There are so many madmen in the world, and you run when you meet them? How could I know that you would meet two madmen in a row, and both wanted to kill you? Lin Feng was speechless. He felt that what the old man Tianji said made sense, and he was speechless. Suddenly, Lin Mubai took a step forward and appeared in front of Lin Feng in an instant. He raised the knife in his hand, his expression became more ferocious, and after bringing out many knife shadows, he chopped down with the knife. Seeing this, Lin Feng instinctively swung his knife to block. Zheng. The two knives touched, making a high-frequency sharp sound, and the vitality on them collided and sizzled. The vitality of the Earth Yuan realm is far from comparable to the initial formation of the Yuan Dan. In just a moment, Lin Feng's vitality was defeated, and the black knife in his hand also showed signs of breaking. He suddenly felt bad. After throwing a pill to restore vitality into his mouth, he immediately turned around and ran. He just ran 2 steps, and he felt his neck cold. Instinctively turned his head and looked sideways, and Lin Feng's hair stood up. Lin Mubai, who should have been behind him, unexpectedly appeared beside him strangely, swinging the machete to chop at his neck one after another. A moment of life and death. Lin Feng kicked the ground hard, and his body moved like a dragon, and he flew several feet away in an instant. Capture the cloud-wandering dragon body skill. The attack missed, and Lin Mubai narrowed his eyes slightly. You have some knowledge, Lin Feng bluffed. This is a top-grade body skill. Although my cultivation is not as good as yours, you can't do anything to me with this body skill. Lin Mubai didn't reply, but put away his 2 swords, and then several jade slips appeared in his hands out of thin air, and then he picked one from them. This made Lin Feng stunned. He didn't understand what it meant at all. The madman's behavior was unreasonable, and he didn't have time to care. Seeing the opportunity, he used the body skill again and fled to the distance. In just an instant, he escaped several miles. Glancing behind him, and then looking around, seeing that there was no sign of Lin Mubai, Lin Feng laughed and said, "Haha, Zhang Chen used a cannon to attack me, but the range of the Thunder Spirit cannon is too large, so this body movement is useless. But if it comes to a one-on-one fight, my body movement is definitely a weapon for escape." "That's true," old man Tianji agreed. "Top-grade body movement is rarer than top-grade secret books. I see that the savage has a stronger cultivation than you and his swordsmanship is also decent, but he doesn't seem to have learned body movement, so he shouldn't be able to catch up with you. Be more confident, and remove the word should." "He definitely can't catch up with me," Lin Feng grinned. But just after he finished speaking, he felt inexplicably sad. Running away again. Since he came to the central region, he has been running away almost all the time. So aggrieved. "Just wait for me, I will get back at you sooner or later," Lin Feng was so angry. In an instant. "Be careful," old man Tianji roared. Hearing this, Lin Feng was frightened and instinctively used his body skills to the extreme, and rushed several feet away again. Bang! A dull sound came from behind him. He quickly turned his head and took a closer look. His expression was as if he had seen a ghost. The savage appeared again. Not only did he appear, but he also chopped at the place where he had just stood. The plain machete had already penetrated deep into the ground at this moment, and the vitality gathered on it even cracked the ground near the blade. And at the moment when Lin Feng was stunned, a layer of bloody coat visible to the naked eye appeared on Lin Muabai's body, making his already creepy appearance even more hideous. Shua! A blood shadow flashed, and Lin Muabai appeared in front of Lin Feng, swinging the machete in his hand straight down. Another life and death moment. A cold breath appeared on Lin Feng's body, and with the blessing of this breath, his breath instantly soared. At the same time, he swung the black knife again to block. Zheng! The two knives touched again, and the vibration sound reappeared. Unlike the last time, the vitality on the black knife became cold, and it was comparable to Lin Muabai's. "Quick battle, my soul power is about to run out," the words of the old man Tianji emerged. "Didn't you just say that it was exhausted?" Lin Feng cursed. "You old man, you are so bad. If you had said earlier that you could help me, would I be chased by this savage? You should keep a hand in everything. This time it's really gone." The old man Tianji sighed, and his voice became weaker. "You are too reckless. I am doing this for your own good. Besides, how can you grow up if you always rely on my soul power?" "Humph," Lin Feng snorted coldly. "What do you mean by always rely on? He rarely does this in the lower domain, right? Who would have thought that the difficulty of this middle domain is completely different from that of the lower domain? He was targeted by several people who were beyond his ability as soon as he arrived." Too lazy to argue with the old man Tianji, Lin Feng secretly estimated. At this moment, relying on soul power, his combat power should be able to touch the earth realm. In other words, he was on par with the wild man in front of him. He was no longer panicked. Keeping the blocking posture, he wondered, "You have a top-grade body movement, why were you left behind by me just now?" Lin Muabai ignored him. Lin Feng sneered. "Don't say. He doesn't want to know yet." Without any hesitation, he glanced at Lin Muabai's legs and raised his foot to kick him to cut off his descendants. This kick was full of soul power and extremely powerful. When he was in the lower domain, many people were directly crippled by this kick. But after hitting accurately, Lin Feng found out. Lin Muabai didn't react. As still as a mountain. No ripples on his face. Not only that, he felt like he kicked iron, and it hurt a little bit. You didn't." Lin Feng looked up, looking confused. Lin Muabai glared angrily and said decisively, "Bullshit, I did. Why didn't you react? And it's still so hard. Humph, I knew you liked to play dirty tricks, so I practiced. Lin Feng was dumbfounded. Practiced before? Who is so bored that he would practice that? And judging from the hardness, he must have practiced it a bit fiercely. Unimaginable. This is simply outrageous. His mother opened the door to outrageous to the extreme. Damn. He is really a lunatic. After coming to his senses, he cursed directly. As soon as he finished speaking, he kicked the ground hard, jumped several steps away in an instant, and once again distanced himself from Lin Muebai. Seeing Lin Muebai chasing him, he swung several knives with his backhand, and instantly cut out several black cold sword chi. The sword chi broke through the air, breaking wood and cracking the earth. Lin Muebai frowned, and blood chi entangled him again, dodging everywhere like a ghost. Haha. You are just an entry-level sword, but I am a minor master of sword. I can kill you with just the sword chi transformation. Seeing this, Lin Feng laughed. Lin Muebai still ignored him. This made Lin Feng frown, a little uncomfortable. His opponents are usually talkative, but since coming to the central region, it seems that he has become more talkative. Somewhat annoyed, he slashed out several more sword chi, and then began to appreciate Lin Muebai's fleeing and miserable appearance. Suddenly, Lin Muebai stopped moving. He just stood there blankly, his eyes were distracted, and he was in a mysterious Taoist aura. At the same time, his naked chest actually shone with a crystal white light. Dazzling. This is enlightenment. The old man Tianji was shocked. He has innate Taoist bones. And it's the ribs in front of the heart. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 73. Innate Dao Bone? Lin Feng suddenly felt a chill in his heart. If it was just suspicion just now, now it is definitely confirmed. The savage in front of me is indeed Lin Muebai, the innate Taoist. At this moment, he couldn't help but doubt the monster with innate understanding. The movement technique Lin Muebai performed just now was probably something he had just learned. Although Lin Feng didn't understand why Lin Muebai had neglected to learn high-grade body skills before, it didn't matter. What matters is, at this moment, after seeing his sword energy, Lin Muebai may have fallen into the enlightenment of the sword again. The corners of Lin Feng's mouth kept twitching, and he just wanted to ask one question. Why is there another madman from the Juyan sect? Lin Muebai was said to be elegant, a gentleman? The key point is that everyone agrees. He doesn't understand. How can the gap between rumors and real people be so big? But Lin Feng soon calmed down. Although Juyan sect has another male lunatic, it is still acceptable. Anyway, his goal is the beautiful master and senior sister. It's not a big problem if the senior brothers are crazy. Quick, take action while he has an epiphany. Seeing that he was in a daze, old man Tianji urged loudly. After waking up, Lin Feng immediately rushed out with a knife. He now relied on his soul power and sword mastery to barely suppress Lin Muebai. If we wait until the latter's enlightenment is over, it's still unclear who will win. With this idea in mind, with all his strength and the Qin Yun Yalong movement technique running at full strength, he appeared in front of Lin Muebai in an instant. With a ruthless look in his eyes, he slashed with a horizontal sword. I thought this knife would definitely succeed. But who would have expected? Lin Muebai, whose eyes were dull a second ago, suddenly regained his clarity. After flicking the black knife away with the machete in his left hand, taking advantage of Lin Feng's stunned moment, Lin Muebai swung the knife with his right hand, also slashing horizontally. This scene frightened Lin Feng as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. It was too late to escape at this time, so he had to use all his soul power to come out from Zhou Sheng's pores and converge on his neck, forming a layer of soul power black armor that just covered his neck. The machete struck the armor, and the blade kept trembling with increasing intensity. Although the jaw of his right hand was shattered, Lin Muebai still gritted his teeth and put all his energy on the machete. Originally, if old man Tianji's soul power was concentrated, his defense would be extremely powerful, but although the machete was simple and unpretentious, it was also a top-grade spiritual weapon, so although it was not fast, it was still moving towards Lin Feng's neck. Such a situation seemed dangerous, but it gave Lin Feng enough time to react. His body skills were working again, and he was ready to retreat quickly. Sensing his plan, Lin Muebai strengthened the power in his hand, but for a while, the machete in his hand was indeed unable to penetrate the soul armor. At this time, it was too late to draw the knife and slash again. In just an instant, Lin Muebai made a decision. Letting go of the machete stuck on the soul armor, he raised his bloody palm and aimed it at Lin Feng's cheek. Snapped. A crisp sound sounded. At the same time, Lin Feng also escaped several feet away, but the slap mark on his cheek left him stunned. Him, Lin Feng. Son of Destiny. Actually, let someone slap you. There was ringing in his ears, and Lin Feng's expression began to distort. Just when he wanted to rush forward again and fight Lin Muebai directly. Swish. Lin Muebai in the distance kept waving his machete, and several sword auras came quickly. After relying on his body skills to avoid it, Lin Feng gritted his teeth. He is unwilling to give up. At this moment, the soul power in his body showed signs of dissipation. Lin Muebai once again mastered his sword skills and transformed his sword energy into form. If the fight continues, your chances of winning are extremely low. If it weren't for fighting against Zhang Chen, the old man Tianji's soul power would be exhausted and he would no longer be able to possess him. Otherwise, how could he end up in such a situation? How can you be slapped in the face by a madman? It's strange. Logically speaking, although he has innate Taoist bones, he cannot fully activate them with his earth element cultivation, and his enlightenment cannot be so fast. Unless. Old man Tianji said to himself. Unless, Lin Feng asked. Unless he dug out the tunnel bone himself. Polished it and put it back in again. Isn't it possible? There are no scars on his chest. There are many pills that can repair scars. Furthermore, the innate Tao bones will absorb the vitality of heaven and earth on their own to nourish themselves. This will also keep nearby scars intact. Lin Feng's mouth twitched. Since the old man Tianji said so, then things should be pretty much the same. This made him slightly change his opinion of Lin Muebai. Although he is crazy, he is able to dig out his own bones to the extent that he is a ruthless person. In the same league with him. Maybe it has something to do with his madness. After all, normal people can't do this kind of thing. He must have been stimulated by something. Old man Tianji said again. Hey, he is a poor man. Lin Feng felt pity and sighed, it must have something to do with Zhang Chen. After all, it is rumored that Zhang Chen beats Lin Muebai on a daily basis. Maybe the latter couldn't bear it and went crazy. After saying this, he frowned again and said in confusion, but why did he want to chop me? Lin Muebai not only wanted to kill him, but from Lin Muebai's murmur when they first met, it could be heard that he was specifically waiting in the direction of Juyan sect, waiting to kill him. In an instant, Lin Feng became gnashing his teeth again. Zhang Chen harmed you, go ahead and kill Zhang Chen. Why are you cutting me? This is outrageous again. Why do you care about what a crazy person thinks? Run away. The crazy guy is here again, old man Tianji shouted. Hearing this, Lin Feng was frightened. Looking forward, he saw Lin Muebai rushing towards him with two machetes in his hands. His eyes were red and his face was ferocious, as if he couldn't sleep unless he killed him. In the future, I must stay away from this madman. Lin Feng decided in his heart. At this moment, he didn't want to play with the madman anymore. He used his last soul power and prepared to retreat first. But he was just about to turn around. Big brother, Lin Mubai, who was rushing towards him, suddenly shouted. Big brother. Lin Feng's pupils shrank immediately. At such a critical moment, Zhang Chen came? Isn't this pushing him to a dead end? Too panicked, he hurriedly looked up at the sky behind him. But this time, there was nothing. The stars in the sky were still shining, but there was no trace of the purple spirit boat at all. Not good, Lin Feng was shocked and turned around quickly. What caught his eyes was a machete that had been swung down, and Lin Muibai's grin of success. And then, at the critical moment, Lin Feng instinctively turned his head and avoided the fatal blow, but the machete chopped on his left shoulder. The flesh was immediately torn apart, and it penetrated 3 points into the bone. Puff! Blood spurted out from the shoulder, and the world in front of him was stained with bright red. Enduring the severe pain, Lin Feng used his remaining soul power to resist, and barely stopped the machete from going deeper, thus breaking his arm. Unexpectedly, the next moment, with a bang, the soul power in his body completely dissipated, and his breath fell to the initial stage of Yuandan. A chill ran from head to toe, like a basin of cold water poured down. Looking at Lin Muibai's excited and panting appearance, Lin Feng felt again. It was going to be cold. Just as Lin Muibai drew back his sword and prepared to chop off Lin Feng's head, Lin Feng was refreshed again. He sensed that his soul power appeared again. Ahem, run away. I'm really dying, the dying voice of the old man Tianji sounded. Don't say it as if I've drained you dry, okay, Lin Feng's mouth twitched. This time he didn't hesitate, but covered his shoulders and used all his strength to operate his body skills, and disappeared with a whoosh. Lin Muibai wanted to chase him, but he felt his knees soften as soon as he took a step, and he knelt on the ground. Don't look at how fierce he was just now, but the innate Taoist bone needs a lot of vitality to support it, whether it is learning secrets or enlightenment. In short. In fact, he was also dying at this time. Humph. Sitting on the ground, Lin Muibai snorted coldly with his 2 swords inserted into the ground. There is a long way to go, so there is no need to rush. He knew that the Son of Destiny was not easy to kill, so he could only keep trying until he succeeded. If senior brother knew that I almost killed Lin Feng, he would definitely praise me. He began to grin foolishly again. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 74. After escaping from the dense forest, Lin Feng looked extremely embarrassed. At this moment, his cheeks were bruised and swollen, and there was still blood flowing sizzlingly on his left shoulder. It went down his arm and had completely soaked the clothes on his left arm. He gasped for air, quickly threw a hemostatic pill into his mouth, and then looked around with a vigilant expression. Then Lin Muibai didn't come after him, so he must have run out of energy in his body, old man Tianji said, his voice a little weaker. Hearing this, Lin Feng breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, he was beside a wide avenue. Stones of different sizes and neat cuts could be seen everywhere on the roadside. He found a stone and sat down at random, and said angrily, "Damn it! Ever since I came to this central realm, I have not only been digging holes like a mouse, but I have also been chased everywhere. I have been in danger of my life several times. Things are indeed a little weird. It would be fine if you really offended someone. But when you first came to the central territory, you met 3 people who wanted to kill you for no reason." Old man Tianji was puzzled. After a moment of reflection, he added, "And these 3 people are all disciples of the 9 peaks of the Juyan section. It is no coincidence. I suggest returning to the lower domain first. After my soul power is fully restored, I can take a look at the secret. Then make plans." Lin Feng remained silent, feeling that it made sense. But if that was really the case, wouldn't he be running away with his tail between his legs? The cultivation resources in the lower realm are far from comparable to those in the middle realm. He is also the son of destiny after all. How can he not advance but retreat? Furthermore, if you become timid during your cultivation, it will have a considerable impact on your state of mind. It may be okay for a short period of time, but as your cultivation level gets higher, inner demons will breed. Old man Tianji is naturally very clear about these. But at this time, his soul power was seriously exhausted, and his secret was deceived, so he could only suggest this. I don't believe this evil anymore. Lin Feng's expression suddenly became determined, and he said seriously, you can't give up your fearless heart. Isn't it just Zhang Chen and two lunatics? As long as I enter the Juyan sect, there are many ways to deal with them. The Juyan sect is the first-class sect in the central region, and there are even rumors that the ancestor of the Juyan sect came from the upper region. The old man Tianji was worried. You can see the whole leopard when you peek at a spot. Such a sect has actually driven two geniuses crazy. It's not right to worry about Juyan sect. How is it possible? Lin Feng waved his hands repeatedly and denied. First of all, it is not uncommon for monks like us to go crazy. Secondly, if something is wrong with the Juyan sect, can they all go crazy? Old man Tianji was silent. Reason told him that what Lin Feng said made sense, but for some reason he felt a little panicked. A monk would not do this without a reason, there must be a reason. But for a while, he didn't know what the problem was. To be on the safe side, tell me how much soul power you have left, Lin Feng asked again. It's gone, it's gone. There's not a single bit left. Old man Tianji suddenly shook his head like a rattle. Damn old man, you must be lying to me again. Every time you say you are running out of soul power, but you can squeeze out a little more at critical moments. Can you stop acting like a bitch and be more straightforward? I can barely instill soul power into you again. Real. I can get pregnant again. What? Lin Feng was shocked and couldn't believe it. How could he be able to take another body? So as for him being slapped in the face, as for being almost hacked to death by Lin Mubai. Too angry, he shouted directly, Old man Tianji, I misjudged you. You actually lied to me like this? Are you an undercover agent sent by Zhang Chen? In this regard, the old man Tianji could only explain helplessly, I have no choice. Controlling your body consumes a lot of soul power. If you do it again, I will fall directly into a deep sleep. You are already in danger when you first come to the central territory. It is too dangerous to sleep at this moment. This explanation made Lin Feng feel relieved a lot. Let's talk about it, let's make trouble again. He and old man Tianji share the same blessing and misfortune, and he still trusts him. Just as old man Tianji said, this middle domain is too dangerous, it is simply a hell difficulty. Without the help of old man Tianji, the difficulty will only increase several times. If you fall asleep, how long will it last? Lin Feng asked solemnly. If there is a special treasure of heaven and earth to nourish the soul, it will only take a few days to wake up. If not. How about no? I just woke up from a deep sleep when I met you, but hundreds of years have passed. Count, hundreds of years. Lin Feng was shocked again. Meaning, if something happened to him while old man Tianji was sleeping, wouldn't there be no ashes left in him when old man Tianji woke up? That's why I suggest you return to the lower domain. This is the best policy, old man Tianji sighed. Hearing this, Lin Feng was shaken. Although the beautiful master and senior sister are nice, if they lose their lives for this, it will definitely be a loss that outweighs the gain. He is indeed lustful, but he values his own life more. Let me think about it. He fell into a battle between heaven and man. And just as he was frowning in deep thought, clear footsteps came from the dense forest behind him. This made Lin Feng jump up in fright. After turning his head suddenly, he breathed a long sigh of relief. Someone did come, but it was not Lin Mubai, but a young man with a sharp mouth and monkey cheeks, holding a stone brick in each hand, and his cultivation was only at the early stage of Yuan Dan. This kind of opponent, even Lin Feng at this moment, can still kill him instantly. The young man was also stunned when he saw Lin Feng. Especially after seeing the oozing wound on Lin Feng's left shoulder, he swallowed hard. Just when the young man was thinking whether he should run away directly, Lin Feng walked towards him. "May I know the name of this brother?" Lin Feng said with a smile after arriving. Although he smiled kindly and his tone and demeanor were very friendly, the young man just didn't like him, and he didn't know why. Helplessly, the other person's cultivation was higher than his, so the young man had to reply, "Lu Wu. Judging from your clothes, are you a disciple of Juyan sect?" Lin Feng asked again. "Yes, I am the first younger brother under the fifth senior sister of Zhu Feng." "Really?" Lin Feng immediately became excited. In fact, he didn't like Lu Wu either, but he finally met a normal disciple of Juyan sect, so he had to find out some information. He knew it naturally. The head of Zhu Feng of Juyan sect was the beautiful master who had never met before. And the so-called fifth senior sister was, of course, Zhang Lianyu. Rumor has it that both women are first-class beauties. "Old Tianji, this is a good time. I'll let this man take me to see Zhang Lianyu, and then let Zhang Lianyu protect me to Juyan sect, then there will be no danger." Lin Feng laughed in his heart. Old Tianji didn't reply, but was just thinking about what Lu Wu was doing here in the middle of the night. "This, brother Lu. Take a step forward." Lin Feng raised his hand and hugged Lu Wu's neck, saying, "To be honest, I am about to join Juyan sect Zhu Feng, you and I will be fellow disciples, why don't you take me to see my senior sister?" Looking at Lin Feng with a strange look, Lu Wu asked back, "Are you sure?" "Fifth senior sister, she has a bad temper." "No problem," Lin Feng waved his hand and said generously, "I have heard that fifth senior sister has the appearance of an empress, it is normal to be arrogant. But she can beat people, it hurts a lot. Don't be afraid, I'm thick-skinned by the way." "How many people in the Juyan sect have gone crazy?" "It seems that you have some connections. This matter was kept strictly confidential by the sect, but I didn't expect that you knew about it. But since you knew about it, you still dared to become a disciple of the Juyan sect and go to see senior sister?" "Oh, it's just a small scene. Crazy people are still easy to get along with." Hero, please accept my greeting." "Brother Lu, please stand up quickly. I can't afford such a big gift from you, besides, you haven't told me how many people are crazy." "They are all our own people, so I won't hide it from you. There are 2 people in total." "2 people?" Lin Feng's eyes turned. "One Qingning, one Lin Mubai, isn't that exactly 2? At that moment, he had no more worries, and he hugged Lu Wu and went to see Zhang Lianyu happily. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 75. The 2 of them had only taken a few steps, and Lin Feng was stunned. I saw that in the spacious main road, there were brand new huts that had just been repaired. They stretched along the road, and there were at least dozens of them as far as the eye could see. "Brother Lu, what are these latrines?" Lin Feng asked in confusion. Glancing at the stone bricks in his hand, Lu Wu sighed, "I built it, don't ask me why, because I don't know, and it was senior sister's order." Lin Feng had a black streak on his head. "Why build so many huts? Could it be that the fifth senior sister, who has never been masked before, is not as cold as the rumors say, but has a cold face and a warm heart, and is concerned about the toilet problems of the monks in the lower 4 realms? But even so, there is no need to build so many." "Brother Lu, are you sure that only 2 people from Juyan sect have gone crazy?" Lin Feng quickly confirmed. "Of course, why did I lie to you?" Lu Wu rolled his eyes. Lin Feng glanced at him suspiciously, but Lin Feng didn't reply. The two of them continued to move forward. Every time they passed a hut, Lin Feng would look at it. After he was convinced that these were all ordinary huts, he completely let go of his worries. While walking, "Senior sister is there, go ahead by yourself, I have to build a hut." Lu Wu pointed forward. Lin Feng looked at it. "I saw a towering tree beside the main road, and a woman wearing a white cloud and glazed skirt was standing at the top of the tree, her white skirt moving with the wind. She raised her head slightly and her eyes were slightly dull. The delicate side face was covered with a layer of pale white by the moonlight. Looking from a distance, it looked as if it had lost its soul, which made everyone who saw it feel distressed." Lin Feng was stunned. The woman in front of her was completely different from Qingning. Qingning has beautiful facial features and gives people the feeling that it is like the rising sun in the morning and evening, which warms the heart and is full of vitality. But the woman in front of her was completely beautiful. Although it is not charming, it is like a rare treasure. As long as you look up, you will never look away. And the frosty look on her face made the man feel like he wanted to conquer her. Bang, bang. Lin Feng's heartbeat quickened. It is indeed a first-class beauty. The rumors were finally right. But, looking up at the bright moon in the sky, Lin Feng glanced at his mouth again. What's so good about the moon? Not only Zhang Lianyu liked to look at her in a daze, but also the crazy Lin Mubai. After tidying up his appearance, Lin Feng smiled lightly, took 2 steps forward, and said politely, "I'm Lin Feng, I've met 5th senior sister." Boom. As the powerful aura swept through, Zhang Lianyu suddenly turned her head. After seeing Lin Feng's face clearly, an indescribable rage surged crazily in her beautiful eyes, as if to devour her mind, and her delicate body trembled. What followed was murderous intent. Killing intent is like thousands of ice blades, constantly bursting out in all directions. Under its influence, even the towering ancient trees seemed to start to tremble and their branches sway. Such overwhelming murderous intent made the hairs on Lin Feng's body stand up. The whole person felt as if he had fallen into a 1,000-year ice cave, and even the energy and blood in his body showed signs of stagnation. "No. This girl is also crazy and wants to kill you. Run," old man Tianji said in shock. Hearing this, Lin Feng suddenly woke up. Although he didn't know what the situation was, and he didn't say a word to Zhang Lianyu, but driven by his survival instinct, he quickly used his body skills with all his strength and fled towards the way he came, like a dragon. I thought that this move would at least buy me some time. But who would have expected? As he ran, Lin Feng felt pain in his vest. Then an ice jade cold sword penetrated directly into his lower abdomen. Although it missed the vital point, blood still spurted out like pillars, and Lin Feng's vision was once again filled with scarlet. Glancing at the tip of the sword that penetrated his lower abdomen, he endured the severe pain, turned his head in disbelief, and slowly looked behind him. I could see the cold air behind them like clouds, and Zhang Lianyu's alluring face came into view, with frost already forming on her fair skin. At this moment, Lin Feng no longer had any appreciation for beauty, but was filled with intense fear. All of a sudden, Zhang Lianyu fiercely pulled out the sword, and then Yungzia waved her slender hand, giving Lin Feng a slap in the face. Snapped. The crisp slap sound was extremely harsh in the dark night. Zhang Lianyu had no intention of holding back the slap. The cold vitality on her palm made Lin Feng feel as if he had been hit by an iceberg. He instantly spat out a mouthful of dirty blood and flew out of the air. After drawing an arc in the air, it finally crashed into the hut not far away. Boom! The hut collapsed instantly, wood and rocks scattered. Cough, cough. The dust and smoke dispersed, and Lin Feng threw himself on the ground and coughed up blood. But just after he coughed twice, Zhang Lianyu jumped up from a distance again, and while falling from the sky, she grabbed the back of his head with her slender fingers and pushed him into the latrine where there was still an outline. When she couldn't hold him down, she used her Yuan power to lift Lin Feng's head and slammed it into the latrine. Seeing that the impact was too slow, she let go and raised her foot to step harder. After stepping on it a few times, maybe she felt it wasn't satisfying enough, so she jumped up and stomped again. While stamping, she said crazily, "Junior brother, have you seen the huts along this way? These are all prepared by senior sister for you, do you like them?" Lin Feng's eyes were filled with stars and his ears were ringing. After hearing these words, he finally understood. It turns out that this crazy woman wanted to kill him from the beginning. No, press him to death in the latrine. Fortunately, this latrine is newly built, otherwise he would have to eat shit today. That's too much, Lin Feng was furious. At the same time, cold soul power burst out from his body, blasting Zhang Lianyu several feet away. Taking the opportunity to distance himself, Lin Feng threw a few pills into his mouth. This girl's body movement, swordsmanship, and skills are all top grade, and her cultivation is in the middle stage of the Earth Yuan. When she stabbed the sword just now, I used my soul power to resist for you, but I was still pierced by the ice sword instantly. Fortunately, she is a lunatic and wants to press you to death in the toilet, so that sword avoided the vital point, the old man Tianji said very solemnly. Should I be happy? Covering his lower abdomen with his hand, Lin Feng's face was gloomy and unbelievable. I remember you said that even a top-grade spiritual sword could not break your soul power so quickly. Look at her hand, the old man Tianji said. Hearing this, Lin Feng immediately cast his eyes, and his pupils shrank instantly. Zhang Lianyu's slender jade hand was wrapped in a layer of blue ice emitting a strange light, and there were ice blue flames jumping inside, condensing into veins, just like a worm winding around. The technique this girl practices is called Ice Lotus Ash Dome Classic. As far as I know, this is the only top-grade technique that can rival the best techniques. And it has some restraint on soul power, explained the old man Tianji. Can it rival the best techniques? And it also restrains soul power. Lin Feng's heart was filled with shock. Isn't this more powerful than the ancient techniques he practiced? The power of the ancient techniques lies in that they can automatically advance as the cultivator's cultivation level improves. Although the power is much stronger than the techniques of the same level, it cannot reach the level of cross-level. Don't be envious. Although the techniques are powerful, you still need to be able to practice them, the old man Tianji said again. What do you mean? The side effects of the Ice Lotus Ash Sky Code are extremely strong. It can easily cause cold air to enter the body, and you need to constantly take fire turbidity pills to suppress it. But if you take too much fire turbidity pills, it will burn your heart and soul. With one ice and one fire contained in your body, not only will you suffer from torture, but you will explode and die sooner or later. Not only that, every time she uses her full strength to activate the Ice Lotus Ash Sky Code, she has to endure the pain of the Ice Lotus Ash fire burning her soul. Just like she is now. I don't see her reacting. That's what she is enduring. The murderous intention towards you has covered up the pain of the soul being burned. Lin Feng's mouth twitched, and he found that he had met another ruthless person. But no matter how ruthless he is, what does it have to do with him? He just came to the central region and obviously did nothing. But why do everyone he meets want to kill him? If I didn't know everything about you, I would really suspect that you did something that angered the heavens and the people, which attracted two crazy people who hate you. Old man Tianji also felt a headache. It's meaningless to dwell on these things at this moment. Seeing Zhang Lianyu approaching slowly again, he said in a deep voice, even if I use my soul power to help you, you can't defeat her. Now there is only one way, relax your mind, let me take over, and run away immediately. Run away again? Lin Feng was so frustrated. He just ran away not long ago. If this continues, he might as well change his name to Lin Baobao. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 76. Lin Feng understood what the old man Tianji meant. The so-called escape was to give up going to Juyan sect and escape directly back to the lower domain. He had no objection to this. After all, the Juyan sect was really wrong. There were 3 unreasonable lunatics. And they all wanted to kill him in various ways. It was not easy to meet a normal disciple of Juyan sect, but he was deceived. But Lin Feng was unwilling to leave like this. The humiliation he had experienced in the past few days was more than that of his entire life. If he really ran away with his tail between his legs, how could he still have the face to think of himself as the son of destiny? Old man Tianji, you get on top of me, and then beat this lunatic. Then we run, Lin Feng decided. Okay, old man Tianji was also unambiguous, my soul power is limited, I don't know how long I can hold on, so let's fight quickly. Hearing this, Lin Feng nodded and closed his eyes. Huh. The gloomy wind suddenly rose, sweeping wildly. The cold breath became stronger and stronger, and gradually covered his whole body. When he opened his eyes again, his eyes were full of vicissitudes and depth. Controlling Lin Feng's body, the old man Tianji looked at Zhang Lianyu. Changed, Zhang Lianyu sneered. The old man Tianji was shocked. His eyes opened wide. Such a horrified expression instantly collapsed his image as a master. In fact, he had always felt that his existence was exposed. After all, the purple-blooded soil and the purple-robed old man seemed to be on guard against him. And Lin Muibai was not surprised at all about Lin Feng's combat power improvement, which was unreasonable. But at this moment, being directly exposed by Zhang Lianyu, the old man Tianji was still shocked. Girl, where did you know about my existence? The old man Tianji had a gloomy face. Guess, Zhang Lianyu sneered. Hearing this, the old man Tianji frowned, and when he was about to take action, he noticed something strange. The temperature of the air around her was dropping rapidly. In an instant, it was like the cold winter, with the cold air permeating dozens of feet. Buzz. The sound of the sword suddenly rang out. At this moment, the cold sword in Zhang Lianyu's hand seemed to have consciousness. While trembling rapidly, it kept absorbing the cold air in the air, and then blue ice flowers gradually bloomed on the sword body, and then fell to the ground by themselves. The ice flowers merged into one at the bottom of her feet, turning into larger huge ice flowers, lifting her from the ground, and finally suspended in the air. At the same time, a pressure like the Emperor's arrival and all things bowing to her burst out from her body. It seemed to crush everything. The old man Tianji's face suddenly turned black. He instantly understood that Zhang Lianyu clearly wanted to self-destruct the Emperor's source. He knew it very well. At this time, his soul power was insufficient and could only support simple battles, and he could not bear the Emperor's source at all. He thought Zhang Lianyu was bluffing. After all, the consequence of self-destructing the Emperor's source was to become a cripple. But as the pressure became stronger and stronger, he had to make a choice first. Escape. Even Diyuan was willing to self-destruct. This woman is not just crazy. Lin Feng gave up. Old man Tianji thought so too. After taking a look at Zhang Lianyu, he controlled Lin Feng's body and turned into a stream of light and fled away. Not long after he left, the heavy pressure slowly disappeared. Zhang Lianyu fell from the sky and looked coldly at the direction where Lin Feng fled. That direction is the Hongduan Mountains. Does Lin Feng want to hide in the Hongduan Mountains or return to the lower domain? She guessed. She leaned towards the latter. After all, she felt that the soul power of old man Tianji was weak and should not last too long, and Lin Feng was poked a big hole by her. In this case, returning to the lower domain to heal his injuries is undoubtedly the best choice. If my senior brother knew that I drove Lin Feng back to the lower domain, he would definitely be very happy, she smiled. In the Hongduan Mountains, a man and a tiger are running fast. Behind them, a group of monsters opened their bloody mouths like crazy. Ding, ding. A clear and pleasant bell sounded. It was Qingning shaking the green bell on her wrist. The bell sound spread slowly like waves, creating ripples. The sound was pleasing to the ears. The monsters' eyes suddenly became dull, and they stood there in a daze. When they came to their senses, Qingning and Xiaobai were no longer there. After escaping from the heaven, Qingning rode Xiaobai to meet Zhang Chen at Lingshanfang. She looked a little embarrassed, but looking at the strange-shaped spiritual fruit in her hand, which would beat like a heart from time to time and emit a dazzling green light, she couldn't help but smile. Qingning, what is this? Xiaobai wondered. 7th grade enlightenment fruit, Qingning replied. 7th grade? Or enlightenment fruit, Xiaobai was shocked. The effect of the 7th grade enlightenment fruit is comparable to the 8th grade enlightenment leaf. Both are picked from the enlightenment tree, which can change the cultivator's talent and improve his understanding. And such a level and effect of natural treasures have not appeared in the central region for thousands of years. After entering the Hongduan Mountains again, Qingning went to the depths of the mountains alone, while Xiaobai was outside to meet him. It knew that Qingning must have offended the Demon King, so she was chased by so many big demons, but it didn't expect that it was for this enlightenment fruit. I have lived in the Hongduan Mountains for many years, and I didn't know there was an enlightenment tree. How did you know about it, Qingning? Xiaobai wondered. Hearing this, Qingning's smile faded and her eyes dimmed. Everything she recalled in the 9 lives was still fresh in her memory, and in each life, her talent was changed by this 7th grade enlightenment fruit. She naturally knew where it was and how to get it. She wanted to stay with Zhang Chen, hoping that one day she could really bury Lin Feng alive. But all this requires strength. Therefore, she would enter the Hongduan Mountains again before returning to Juyan sect to obtain the 7th grade enlightenment fruit in advance. Qingning, hide quickly, there is a cultivator of the upper 4 realms, Xiaobai suddenly shouted. Qingning was awakened and looked up quickly. Sure enough. In the distant sky, a black shadow was flying in the air under the entanglement of yin qi. But Xiaobai, do you think this figure is familiar? Qingning frowned. Xiaobai didn't think so at first, but he thought so again when he heard this. The tiger's eyes narrowed slightly and it looked carefully. As the black shadow gradually approached, it suddenly opened its eyes and said in surprise, Qingning, it's Lin Feng. He must be here to eat me. This is not the first time Xiaobai has seen Lin Feng walking in the air. The last time Lin Feng escaped from Lingshanfang, it was the same. It didn't have any idea about this. After all, if it really wanted to be serious, it was a big monster that couldn't speak human language according to common sense. Qingning was also sure that the man was Lin Feng. Seeing that Lin Feng showed no signs of landing in the Hongduan Mountains, she instantly understood something. Xiaobai, hurry up. Use your black thunder to shoot Lin Feng down, Qingning pointed to the sky. Ah, Xiaobai was a little confused. Don't, the opportunity is not to be missed. Okay, but what if he comes down to eat me? Oh, you stupid tiger. I was lying, bah. I promise he can't eat you. Oh. After nodding blankly, Xiaobai immediately activated the ancient bloodline, his body continued to grow, and black thunder appeared frequently around him. In just a moment, it became a prehistoric beast again. Staring at Lin Feng in the sky, Xiaobai opened his tiger's mouth, swallowed the air, and then suddenly roared. Roar! The tiger's roar was deafening. The moment the sound appeared, a solid black thunder spewed out from its mouth, and in a flash of lightning, it struck Lin Feng's body. Boom! The black thunder exploded, and the sky suddenly became windy and turbulent. A woman and a tiger watched with their eyes wide open. Watching the soul power around Lin Feng dissipate, and then falling from the sky with black smoke, directly in front of them. Not speaking martial ethics, sneak attack. After saying this, Lin Feng fainted directly. Xiaobai finally understood, no wonder Qing Ning said that Lin Feng couldn't eat it. Because at this time, Lin Feng was unrecognizable, his clothes were completely soaked in blood, and there were extremely creepy wounds on his left shoulder and lower abdomen, and the white bones were visible. In this miserable state, he couldn't eat it even if he wanted to. Not only that, Lin Feng's skin was burnt, and there were bursts of meat fragrance, which made it swallow his saliva. Who on earth could beat the child of destiny like this? Shaking his head, Xiaobai took a breath of cold air. It asked Qingning again, what should we do now? Squatting down, Qingning poked the wound on Lin Feng's lower abdomen and said with a look of reluctance, too miserable, bury him. Okay, Xiaobai had no objection and spit out a spiritual ring from his tiger's mouth. I put all the purple blood soil in it, enough to bury more than a dozen people. Xiaobai is so smart. But you just said I was a stupid tiger. Really? You heard it wrong. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 77. A few hours ago, before dawn, a purple spirit boat appeared 100 miles away from the Hongduan Mountains. The spirit boat was suspended in the sky, and Zhang Chen led a group of younger brothers to jump off and dive into the dense forest. Zhang Chen clearly remembered that the last time he met Lin Muibai was sharpening his knife near here. Lin Muibai is a madman, maybe he doesn't know where his madness went. But in order to return the plot to normal, Lin Feng was able to become a disciple of Juyan sect, so he had to be cautious and come over to check the situation first. Second senior brother. Lin Muibai. Crazy second senior brother. Savage Lin Muibai. With Zhang Chen's support, Lu Wen and his younger brothers improvised, not forgetting to joke a few words while shouting. The sounds spread through the dense forest, one after another, with a strong sense of rhythm, just like singing. Don't blame them for that. After all, there was nothing Lin Muibai could do against Zhang Chen before he went crazy, but he definitely didn't have a good look towards these cowards like them. The shouting continued for a long time. Not finding Lin Muibai's figure for a long time, Zhang Chen let out a long sigh of relief and said to himself, I just said it's not possible, right? Oh senior brother. Miserable shouts suddenly sounded. Everyone was startled and hurriedly followed the sound. I saw the mound in front of me suddenly exploded. Lin Muibai was still dressed as a savage, holding 2 machetes and crying while rushing towards him. Its skin is also covered with a layer of blood energy coat. And with the blessing of this bloody coat, he looked like a ghost. 3 steps turned into 2 steps, and he appeared in front of everyone in an instant. Lin Muibai is ambushed here, protect senior brother quickly. Lu Wen was shocked and immediately led a group of younger brothers to stand in front of Zhang Chen. Get out of the way, Zhang Chen frowned. Elder brother, Lin Muibai is hiding in the mound, and he is still murderous. I think he is deliberately ambushing you here. He wants to trick you, Lu Wen said anxiously. Zhang Chen also thought so, but was he being hypocritical? Pushing Lu Wen away, he said fiercely, second junior brother, it seems that you have been a little distracted recently. It's not floating, Lin Muibai was stunned. After understanding what he was doing, he quickly put away the machete in his hand, scratched his head and said, didn't I get excited when I saw senior brother? I couldn't control my emotions for a while. Hearing this, Lu Wen and other younger brothers were speechless, and they all cursed. Can't control your emotions. Are you talking nonsense? Is that your emotion? Even if he really didn't control it well, he also didn't control his murderous intention well. Zhang Chen was also speechless. Seeing that Lin Mubai really had no intention of taking action, he didn't bother to care about it. After all, business was more important. Pointing at Lin Mubai, Zhang Chen looked at Lu Wen and others. "You guys, go up and tie him up." Ah! Lu Wen and others were stunned. Although they looked like they were ready to die just now, in fact they were all lying in vain. After all, Lin Mubai is in the Earth Yuan realm, has innate Dao bones, and is also crazy. If they really went up to take action, wouldn't they be stabbed one by one? Lin Mubai was also a little confused and couldn't understand why the good senior brother wanted to tie him up. But he doesn't care. Being able to be tied up by senior brother, and if you can also get beaten up, it can slightly reduce the feeling of guilt. Thinking about it, I'm still a little excited. After throwing a pill into his mouth, Lin Mubai said loudly, "In order to prevent me from resisting when I am beaten later, I have taken the Feng Yuan pill. Come and tie me up, tie me tight." Hearing this, Lu Wen and others were stunned. People call themselves cultivators, but they still don't tie me up. Isn't this too embarrassing? The next second, Lu Wen and others immediately rushed forward and tied Lin Mubai tightly with black rope. "Leave only the eyes, nose, and mouth outside, just like a rice dumpling." Haha! Looking at Lin Muibai's appearance, Lu Wen laughed and said, "Be prepared, the ancients never deceived me. This black rope was originally intended to help senior brother tie up a few beauties, but I didn't expect it to be used on you." Looking at Zhang Chen, he asked again, "Senior brother, should you beat him yourself, or should we do it?" "Beat?" Zhang Chen smiled disdainfully. Why should he satisfy the madman's habit of self-abuse? Lin Mubai was tied up just because he was worried that he would scare Lin Feng away. In order to be safer, he thought for a while and asked Lu Wen and others to carry Lin Mubai back to the spirit boat. The madman's behavior is unreasonable, so it's better to tie him up and monitor him nearby to ensure nothing goes wrong. Everyone was on their way back to the spirit boat. Realizing that Zhang Chen seemed to have no intention of beating him, Lin Mubai felt sad. Suddenly his eyes lit up again and he asked, "Elder brother, don't you ask me why I am hiding in the mound." "Not interested," Zhang Chen replied instantly. How could he possibly care about the actions of a madman? He's not crazy. I actually plan to use some tricks against Lin Feng. That kid runs a bit fast. Based on my experience, it's safer to play tricks on him," Lin Mubai explained to himself. "What?" Zhang Chen was shocked. "Yin Linfen's hand?" Fortunately, he came quickly, otherwise Lin Feng might have been scared away. Etc. How did Lin Mubai know that Lin Feng ran fast? Where did you summarize the experience? In an instant, Zhang Chen had another bad premonition. As expected. If I hadn't run out of energy, I would have caught up with Lin Feng and chopped off his head. Lin Mubai sneered in an extremely proud tone, but it's not all in vain. I not only slapped him, but also almost killed him with a knife. Senior brother, the situation was like this. I slapped him and sent him flying, and then I chopped his left shoulder with a knife. Tisk, the blood was flowing. Huh? Senior brother, are you sick? Why don't you look good? He suddenly asked in surprise. The answer to him was Zhang Chen's fist. After pulling Lin Mubai off Lu Wen's shoulder, Zhang Chen immediately punched like rain. With just a few punches, Lin Muibai's only exposed mouth and nose were beaten so badly that the outline could not be seen. Zhang Chen wanted to kick a few more times, but Wu senior brother finally beat me. Lin Muibai cried. Slapping his forehead, Zhang Chen gave up. In the end, he still couldn't control himself and fell into Lin Muibai's trap. He secretly reminded himself that he should take this as a warning and must not lose his composure in front of a madman in the future, otherwise he would be angry to death sooner or later. Slowly exhaling a breath of turbid air, Zhang Chen squatted down, trying to make his smile less ugly, and asked, "Second junior brother, be good. Tell senior brother, where did Lin Feng run to?" "Senior brother, I am not used to you talking to me like this," Lin Mubai said seriously. He hoped that Zhang Chen would recover. Recover to the cynical villain, because only in this way can he lie freely. Zhang Chen did not reply, but twitched his mouth, and the flame blood dragon sword appeared in his hand. "North," Lin Mubai replied in seconds. "North? In the direction of Juyan sect? Then why are you ambushing here? What if he recovers and wants to come back to find a place? I am doing this for the sake of safety." Zhang Chen was speechless again. The good news now is, since Lin Feng chose to escape to Juyan sect, it proves that he should not have given up the plan to become a disciple. But in that direction, he had seen many huts. "Have you seen Zhang Lianyu recently?" Zhang Chen asked again. "Why did you mention her, senior brother?" Lin Mubai said disdainfully. "I secretly monitored her some time ago and found that she asked Lu Wu to repair the hut several miles ahead." Humph, the behavior of a madman is indeed unreasonable. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 78. After a few moments, Zhang Chen appeared on the spacious main road with a group of people. He looked at the collapsed hut in front of him, as if frightened by some scene, and the trembling Lu Wu and Zhang Lianyu who were running towards him fell into deep thought. He didn't think it was necessary. After all, in the 9 reincarnations, Zhang Lianyu was like a guardian of the emperor, and she trusted Lin Feng very much. Even if she was crazy, there was no reason to attack Lin Feng. But, "Big brother, I stabbed a hole in Lin Feng with my sword." He ran back to the lower domain. Zhang Lianyu, who was running, said excitedly. While speaking, she had already crawled into Zhang Chen's arms like a loach. While hugging Zhang Chen's waist, she raised her head and blinked constantly, as if to praise me quickly. Zhang Chen was speechless. The son of destiny ran back to the lower domain. "I won't become a disciple anymore. This plot is completely broken. He really doesn't understand. Crazy, so be it. Why do Qingning, Lin Mubai, and Zhang Lianyu all dislike Lin Feng? Is he poisonous, or is Lin Feng poisonous? Tie him up." Zhang Chen rubbed his temples. Half an hour later, on the spirit boat. It was early morning. Zhang Chen stood on the deck with his hands behind his back, seemingly enjoying the breeze, but actually cursing in his heart. On the left and right sides of the deck, Zhang Lianyu and Lin Mubai were tied up. The two sometimes looked at each other, sometimes snorted and sneered, and I don't know what they were crazy about. It is worth mentioning that Lu Wen and others did not dare to tie Zhang Lianyu, and Zhang Lianyu did not allow other men to touch her, so in the end Zhang Chen took the initiative. At the beginning, Zhang Lianyu thought Zhang Chen was going to play some play, and she was a little excited. It can be seen that Zhang Chen always had a gloomy face, and she did not dare to speak. The two brothers Lu Wen and Lu Wu gathered together. As if feeling sad for Lu Wu's experience, Lu Wen patted his brother's shoulder and sighed repeatedly. Lu Wu nodded and hugged his brother, looking like a brotherly and respectful man. Zhang Chen didn't speak, and no one dared to speak. For a while, the atmosphere on the spirit boat was extremely solemn. Finally, he moved. Coming in front of Lin Mubai, Zhang Chen asked very seriously, "Second junior brother, why did you kill Lin Feng? You haven't even met before, right?" Lin Mubai was speechless for a moment. Naturally, he couldn't tell the truth about this matter. After hesitating for a long time, he gritted his teeth and said, "I can feel that Lin Feng's horoscope is against me." Zhang Chen's mouth twitched, and he turned his head to look at Zhang Lianyu. "What about you?" A second ago, Zhang Lianyu was still looking at Lin Mubai with a shocked face. She didn't expect that in the 9 life retracing, Lin Mubai, who regarded Lin Feng as his elder brother, would actually kill Lin Feng. But after hearing Lin Muibai's answer, she resumed looking at the madman again. And after hearing Zhang Chen's question, her heart also jumped. Really didn't know how to reply, she had to bite the bullet and said, that Lin Feng is too ugly, he looks like he deserves a beating. Humph, Lin Muibai sneered at the words. Zhang Lianyu immediately glared at him. Zhang Chen was a little dizzy. Qingning buried Lin Feng alive. This is still useful, Xiaobai didn't know who was deceived, Qingning wanted to save her contracted beast to explain. But Lin Muibai and Zhang Lianyu? Isn't this answer completely crazy talk? Really can't figure it out, Zhang Chen can only analyze it secretly, and finally came to a conclusion. Crazy people don't seem to be affected by Lin Feng's Child of Destiny halo. Not only do they not feel friendly, but they will see through Lin Feng's nature. He quickly wrote this down in the little notebook in his heart. Before, he had been wanting to lie flat, relying on the system to hit Lin Feng in the face, and then wait for the ascension. But the current situation is obviously not that easy. With the three important figures going crazy one after another, the difficulty has greatly increased, and we must act cautiously in the future. Lu Wen, replenish the spirit crystals. Let's go, Zhang Chen waved his hand. Where to? Lu Wen asked. Lower domain, Zhang Chen narrowed his eyes and said coldly, even if I look all over the lower domain, I must tie Lin Feng back and send him to Juyin sect to become a disciple. No one can stop my plan. The determination contained in this statement made everyone stunned. After coming to their senses, Zhang Lianyu and Lin Muibai fell into deep thought again. At this moment, they finally understood that they must have caused trouble and ruined Zhang Chen's plan. But what exactly is this plan? The two only knew that Zhang Chen wanted to be a villain in this life, but they didn't know Zhang Chen's system mission. Just as the two were thinking deeply, Zhang Chen said again, second junior brother, fifth junior sister. That Lin Feng is indeed disgusting, but we must be broad-minded and not judge people by appearance. Do you understand? The two did not speak, but remained silent. Bring that Lin Feng back to Juyin section. Although he is a bit annoying, he can be tortured nearby, Zhang Chen added. When they heard this, their eyes lit up instantly. This made Zhang Chen breathe a sigh of relief, and he sighed, as expected, madmen still have to lie. And just as the spirit boat was slowly moving towards the lower domain, a red whip extending from the horizon to here suddenly hit the spirit boat's defensive magic circle. Ka! The magic circle cracked instantly, and then turned into spirit pieces and shattered. When everyone came to their senses, they saw a red figure on the deck of the spirit boat. Master, why are you here? Zhang Chen was surprised. This red figure is Xuanhuan. Her face was expressionless and she didn't pay any attention to Zhang Chen. She just looked at Lin Muibai and Zhang Lianyu, who were tied up, her eyebrows slightly furrowed. Where are Lin Feng and Qingning? Xuanhuan asked again. Qingning is in the Hongduan Mountains, and Lin Feng seems to have ran back to the lower domain. I'm about to catch him, and bring him back, Zhang Chen replied. This time Xuanhuan reacted and turned around to look directly. She just looked at Zhang Chen, her face still expressionless, neither speaking nor leaving. This made Zhang Chen understand something instantly, and he said helplessly, Master, where did you learn this cold violence? Danggu Pagoda, Buddha Temple, and other large and small sects, as well as the master of Lingshanfang, sent people to Juyin sect to say that you controlled the spirit boat and destroyed Lingshanfang. Xuanhuan finally spoke. Zhang Chen secretly thought that it was indeed the case and shrugged. This is what he did, so there is nothing to explain. But he knew it very well. Those sects and bosses went to Juyin sect specifically to file a complaint. In addition to wanting him to be punished, they would definitely ask for compensation. I have already compensated for the total of 160,000 mid-grade spiritual crystals, Xuanhuan said again. 160,000 mid-grade spiritual crystals, many monks in the upper four realms cannot produce them. Zhang Chen knew that even if Xuanhuan had a strong background, so many spiritual crystals would still cause a lot of bleeding. Originally, according to his idea, it was impossible to compensate. But at this moment, he could only say, I will ask the Zhang family to compensate the master. Zhang Chen, let me ask you. Xuanhuan took a deep breath and asked seriously, do you think the teacher came here to ask you for the spiritual crystal? Zhang Chen was silent. The moment he destroyed Ling Shanfang, he knew that Xuanhuan and even the higher UPS of Juyan sect would be furious. But he doesn't care. Because as long as Lin Feng becomes a disciple of Juyan sect and attracts enough hatred, even if he is expelled from the sect early, the impact will not be big. But now Lin Feng ran away, and things were out of control. Just when Zhang Chen was thinking, how about he honestly admit his mistake this time and delay it for a while? Let's discuss this matter. Back to the section. You have offended so many sects at once, and you may be in danger. My master will protect you when you return to the section, Xuanhuan said. Zhang Chen was instantly confused. Based on his understanding of Xuanhuan, if he made such a big mistake this time, Xuanhuan would definitely be furious and extremely disappointed with him. But at this moment, Xuanhuan was still worried about his safety. This persona is wrong. Could it be? Master, are you crazy too? Zhang Chen was stunned. Absurd. Xuanhuan took a step forward and flicked Zhang Chen's forehead with her thin fingers. Even if I am crazy as a teacher, I will definitely be mad at you. Well. His forehead hurt a little, but Zhang Chen let out a long sigh of relief. This character is normal again. Xuanhuan seemed to want to say something again, but finally gave up with a sigh. She raised her head and looked up at the sky, wondering in her heart, before leaving the clan, why did my ancestor ask me not to punish Zhang Chen? Why do you say you don't want me to regret it? Really unable to figure it out, she gave up and asked again, have you seen Li Faju? Li Faju? Zhang Chen shook his head. After Li Faju learned that you destroyed Ling Shanfang, he took many disciples of the law enforcement hall away while I was communicating with Dangu Pagoda and other sections. I think he came to find you, Xuanhuan explained. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 79. Lin Feng had a nightmare. He dreamed that he was buried alive by Qingning again, and then burrowed like a mouse, and escaped in extreme embarrassment. In the dream, he even called himself the destined rat man and was proud of it. Then he woke up with a fright. And then he found that he had indeed been buried alive. What caught his sight was Qingning's pretty face with a big smile, and shovelfuls of Zijun blood and soil. Only then did Lin Feng remember. Old man Tianji controlled his body and was escaping to the lower realm quickly when a black lightning struck him. The black thunder was extremely powerful and caught him off guard. His soul power was directly split apart and he was seriously injured. After falling to the ground, although old man Tianji's soul power was completely exhausted, he still said reluctantly before falling asleep, "Don't talk about martial ethics and carry out sneak attacks." At this moment, Lin Feng panicked. Seeing that most of his body was buried, he wanted to try to communicate with Qingning. But he found out again. Due to serious injuries and severe overdraft of energy and blood, he didn't even have the strength to speak. Qingning. He seems to be awake, Xiao Bai suddenly shouted. Hearing this, Lin Feng breathed a sigh of relief. It would be good to delay for a while. At least he could recover some energy to resist Zijun's blood and soil, so as not to be buried alive. But who would have expected? After Qingning looked him over, she shook her head and said, "Really? Xiaobai, You are wrong. The words fell. Lin Feng watched helplessly as Qing Ning raised the spiritual shovel in his hand and then slapped him on the head with the shovel. Buzz. Lin Feng could no longer feel the pain, and only felt that the whole world was filled with tinnitus. Seeing that his eyes were still open, Qing Ning frowned slightly and took another shovel. Now Lin Feng was really dying. His consciousness gradually began to dissipate, and his vision began to become blurry. The situation this time is obviously different from last time. In order to prevent him from drilling a hole and sneaking away, Qing Ning not only sealed his cultivation, but also laid a thick layer of Zijun blood and soil under him, and even had his fingernails pulled out. And the pain near Zifu also proved that Qing Ning had tried to destroy his cultivation, but the Yuan Dan condensed by the ancient skills could not be broken by the Yuan Dan monks. It's going to be cold, it's going to be really cold this time. A sense of fear of death enveloped Lin Feng. If God gives him another chance, he will definitely not come to the central realm with this level of cultivation, because there are too many lunatics in the central realm. Bang! Another shovel. This shovel caused Lin Feng's already weakened consciousness to dissipate in an instant. As if accepting his fate, he slowly closed his eyes. Seeing that Lin Feng was unconscious again, Qing Ning turned to Xiaobai and smiled. Xiaobai, look at it, I will tell you that you are wrong. This made Xiaobai's tiger whiskers tremble. Suddenly, while it was complaining that women were scary, it felt an extremely powerful sword power coming from a distance. The power of the sword is extremely powerful. It seems to be able to penetrate the heaven and the earth, and it seems to stretch for thousands of miles. The mountains that rise one after another are difficult to shake. Xiaobai raised his head suddenly and couldn't help but shrink his pupils. I saw a silver sword coming from afar, with solid sword energy wrapped around it. It was shining with dense sword light, breaking rocks and splitting wood, and its target was directly at me. Roar! The roar of a tiger suddenly sounded. Xiaobai's body grew rapidly, and his sharp teeth carried a hint of black thunder as he bit the incoming silver sword. Humph! A cold snort sounded. The silver ancient sword trembled and spun rapidly. After breaking free from Xiaobai's mouth, it actually slashed out several fierce sword energy on its own. The sword intent contained in it not only knocked Xiaobai back, but also left several oozing lines on its body. Bloody sword marks. Huh! Accompanied by a surprised sound, a middle-aged man appeared and said, "You can actually withstand several of my sword energies. Do you, the white tiger, have ancient blood?" Xiaobai didn't reply. Although it was injured in many places and dripping with blood, it still made a dull sound of baring its teeth. Just from the confrontation just now, Xiaobai knew that he was no match for the middle-aged man in front of him. Because this is a sword cultivator at the top of Tianyuan realm. And the sword is perfect, the sword energy is concentrated. With such strength, even though his cultivation level is not that of the upper fourth realm, he is already on par with ordinary upper fourth realm monks. Qing Ning, I can't beat him, what should I do? Xiaobai used contract induction to communicate with Qing Ning in his heart. Qing Ning shook her head and put down the spiritual shovel in her hand. At the same time, several more figures shot out from the dense forest in all directions, surrounding a woman and a tiger. Qing Ning, one of the figures asked in surprise. Qing Ning, do you know them? Hearing this, Xiaobai used the contract to communicate again. Certainly. Qing Ning smiled, looked at the middle-aged man who arrived first, and asked, Li Faju Elder Li, did God send you here? Li Faju didn't reply, but there was already a storm in his heart. He came here to bring Zhang Chen back to his clan for punishment, and he had already discovered the spirit boat Zhang Chen was riding on. But in order to confirm Zhang Chen's crime, he went to Lingshanfang, which was in ruins, to investigate the actual harm Zhang Chen caused this time. After the investigation, when he was about to leave, he discovered that a black thunder shot out from the middle of the Xuanhuan mountains and shot down a monk who was walking in the air. Originally, Li Faju didn't want to talk to him. After all, it is common for monks to fall, not to mention the Xuanhuan mountains where fighting is already happening everywhere. But secretly, he felt that this was an opportunity. That's why we came with everyone. Seeing a huge white tiger beside a girl, Li Faju attacked with his sword without any hesitation. But after the attack, he found out. The girl was Qingning, who was burying people alive. He actually felt sorry for this girl who was deceived by Zhang Chen many times but chose to believe him. But he didn't expect that this girl would have such a cruel side. Soon, Li Faju realized something was wrong again. Qingning loved to laugh in the past, and her smile was heartwarming. But at this moment, although she was still laughing, it was just creepy. "Qingning, do you know what you are doing?" Li Faju asked in a deep voice. "Burying people," Qingning replied in seconds. "Burying people is indeed right, but you are burying a living person. He is dead, dead." "Nonsense. Look carefully, he is still breathing." Qingning suddenly fell silent. After a while, her smile faded, and her eyes were filled with hostility. She said with a bit of madness, "Qingning said he was dead, so he is dead. Elder Li, I am weak now, and I can't do anything if you want to save him." But, Li Faju frowned. "But you have to be prepared. If you save him, I will bury you first before I bury him next time," Qingning said with murderous intent. Bold. Hearing this, Li Faju was furious. He was the elder who was in charge of the law enforcement hall, but he was threatened to be buried alive by a little girl. It was outrageous. If he hadn't seen that Qingning was not right and might have gone crazy, he would definitely have taken action directly. It took a long time for Li Faju to calm down and said, "Qingning, your big mistake has not been made yet. It's not too late to turn back now. You get out of the way, I will take this person back to Juyan sect for treatment to make up for your crime." "Okay." Qingning smiled again and made way. Li Faju heaved a sigh of relief and personally stepped forward to rescue Lin Feng from the pit. He hadn't noticed it from the beginning to the end. Although Qingning was smiling, the way she looked at him was as if she was looking at a dead person. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 80. Lin Feng regained consciousness in a daze. Due to the serious overdraft of blood and vitality, he could not open his eyes and could only silently feel the state of his body. Bang, bang. The heartbeat still existed, and he could feel that his vitality was slowly recovering. It should be that his cultivation was unsealed, and the feeling of being pressed by the purple blood soil had completely disappeared. This made Lin Feng breathe a sigh of relief. He thought that he must have been rescued by someone to survive in such a desperate situation. He was worthy of being the son of destiny. He also secretly reminded himself that he must return to the lower domain immediately. The fact that destiny could save him this time did not mean that he could always save him. Moreover, he really didn't want to experience the feeling of being shrouded by death again. "Old man Tianji," Lin Feng shouted in his heart. The answer to him was silence. Sure enough, he fell into a deep sleep. Lin Feng was sad. However, he quickly cheered up and began to operate the 7 pure annihilation technique. Relying on the technique, he quickly absorbed spiritual energy, which was then refined by the Yuan Dan and gradually converted into Yuan Qi, constantly replenishing the almost dried up blood and Qi. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a heat in his lower abdomen, and felt a medicinal power from it. Under the stimulation of Yuan Qi, this medicinal power traveled along the blood vessels, and while healing his injuries, it also accelerated his absorption of spiritual energy. "Is this a 5th grade Yuan Qi pill?" Lin Feng was very excited. He understood instantly. This Yuan Qi pill must have been fed to him while he was unconscious. to heal his injuries. Benefactor. Lin Feng almost cried. Since coming to this central region, he has been buried alive twice, chased by two lunatics again and again, and was almost scared to death by Zhang Chen once. Only at this moment did he feel what there is true love in the world means. I will repay this favor. If one day I become the emperor, I will issue an imperial decree to protect the descendants of this benefactor for generations, Lin Feng decided in his heart. Thinking of this, he accelerated the speed of cultivation. Although he encountered danger many times, it was not a bad thing. Many life and death battles activated the potential of his body and improved his understanding of the way of the sword. This is a good opportunity to break through. The 7 pure annihilation technique was activated again. This time, Lin Feng did not use the vital energy to treat the injury, but compressed and condensed the refined vital energy, intending to use more pure vital energy to expand the Yuan Dan in his body. Soon. Boom. Accompanied by a wave of air, the Yuan Dan obviously expanded a circle. At this moment, his cultivation broke through again, from the middle stage of the Yuan Dan to the late stage. Humph, with my talent and skills, I can survive in the lower domain for more than 10 years. When I am almost ready, I will come back and wash away the shame of these times, Lin Feng sneered in his heart. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded. Qingning, Lin Feng is awake, and seems to have made a breakthrough. Qingning. When Lin Feng heard this name, he was immediately frightened. Although Zhang Chen, Lin Mubai and Zhang Lianyu scared him a lot, it was the seemingly harmless Qingning who really pushed him into a desperate situation. And twice. And why is this voice so much like that stupid tiger? Lin Feng suddenly had a bad premonition and opened his eyes quickly. What caught his eyes were 5 heads. Zhang Chen, Lin Mubai, Zhang Lianyu, Qingning, and a huge tiger head. And they were all looking at him with a ferocious look. I must be dreaming. Lin Feng closed his eyes again. He didn't believe it, and he didn't want to believe it. He had escaped, so how could he fall into the hands of those who wanted to kill him? And this time, they all gathered together. If this is really reality, wouldn't they want to kill him? After constantly comforting himself, Lin Feng opened his eyes again. The 5 familiar heads were still there, but they were a little different. Lin Mubai picked up the machete. Zhang Lianyu pulled out the spirit sword. Qingning and Xiao Bai had begun to pour soil from the spirit ring. And Zhang Chen. Junior brother Lin, although it was the order of the master, I also took out a Yuan Qi pill to treat your injuries. This is a grace of rebirth. When you see me in the future, just call me daddy, right? Zhang Chen smiled evilly. Lin Feng's mouth twitched constantly. He looked around hurriedly, and then he found that he was on Zhang Chen's spirit boat. Why? Why was he here? Such a scene, Zhang Chen did not expect it a few minutes ago. When Li Faju arrived with Qingning and Lin Feng, he was also dumbfounded. After learning everything from Qingning, Zhang Chen understood. The appearance of Li Faju must have triggered Lin Feng's Son of Destiny halo, and this god seemed to want to get the plot back on track, so Lin Feng was brought here. Zhang Chen was a little sad about this. He tried his best, but he didn't get Lin Feng to Juyan sect to become a disciple. But in the end, it was this thief god who helped him and sent his ascension tool man back. I'll fight you, Lin Feng suddenly shouted. But his voice had just fallen. Goo. His stomach rumbled, and he felt like a knife was twisting his stomach in an instant. He was sweating coldly from the pain. It's not my fault. Qingning insisted on wrapping the pill with a layer of purple June blood soil, and I couldn't stop him. Zhang Chen spread his hands helplessly. Hearing this, Qingning smiled and raised his hand, looking like I did it. Lin Feng hated it. The purple June blood soil is as heavy as 1,000 pounds. If a cultivator takes it, it will be difficult to eliminate it in a short time, and he must be in pain to death. These people in front of him clearly wanted to torture him to death. At this time, the old man Tianji fell into a deep sleep, and only a small part of his injuries were healed. He could not fight with all his strength, and there was no room for struggle. In despair, Lin Feng simply closed his eyes and said, "Give me a quick death." He didn't really want to die, but just wanted to gamble on fate. Although the old man Tianji repeatedly warned that it must not be true, he really had no choice at the moment. After hearing this, Zhang Lianyu, Lin Mubai and Qing Ning all sneered. The son of destiny? Just this endurance? Zhang Chen reincarnated for 9 times, and the suffering he encountered was more than tens of millions of times, but never like this. Then, the 3 of them were somewhat moved again. After all, Xiao Hong'ai and Li Faju were talking in the distance at this time. This was indeed an opportunity to kill Lin Feng. Although they also knew that Lin Feng was not so easy to kill. As long as the latter's destiny was still there, the person who took action would summon an equal or even stronger opponent when he killed him. But we have to try. If we don't try, how can we consume Lin Feng's luck? Just when the 3 of them were already fierce and were ready to fight. Want to die? Not that easy, Zhang Chen suddenly spoke. After that, he directly circulated his vitality and stepped on Lin Feng's chest. The vitality contained in this kick was extremely large, and several of Lin Feng's ribs were broken in an instant. He spit out a mouthful of old blood. Enduring the pain, Lin Feng was about to fight again, but he heard Zhang Chen say, "I just saved your life again. You should call me Grandpa when you see me in the future." Puff. After spitting out another mouthful of dirty blood, Lin Feng fainted again. At this moment, Xiao Hong'ai came with a gloomy face in the distance. With her cultivation, she naturally noticed the movements of Zhang Chen and others, but Li Faju's words just now were too shocking, so she was stunned for a while. Glancing at the miserable Lin Feng, Xiao Hong'ai took Zhang Chen aside and asked softly, "Who hurt Lin Feng like this?" Lin Mubai chopped him with a knife, and Zhang Lianyu stabbed him with a sword. Zhang Chen replied in seconds. "Why are Mubai and Lianyu like this?" Xiao Hong'ai was stunned. Second junior brother said that Lin Feng's fate is unlucky for him, and fifth junior sister said that Lin Feng is too ugly. Xiao Hong'ai raised her hand and rubbed her forehead, feeling a headache. Although according to the intelligence, the reason why Zhang Chen destroyed the Lingshan Fang seemed to be because Lin Feng touched his younger brother. But when Li Faju brought Lin Feng back just now, she could clearly feel Zhang Chen's excitement and relief. This shows that her eldest disciple still has some sense. But others.